Hey everyone, welcome to Pape Commons March Zoom. I hope you were enjoying a little Scott Joplin there, ragtime. And John Van Sloten, very smart. You knew that I had my roller piano in the corner of my office. Anyway, welcome everyone. Brendan, I saw you here just a mere moment ago. Our guest. Oh, there you are, man. You're waving at me. I got the whole Brady Bunch experience happening here. I am really thrilled to have, so welcome everyone. I am thrilled to have Brendan Slocumb on our call today. I was introduced to him by a friend of mine in New York, Ed, who was launching Anchor Books as a new line at Penguin Random House. And he was goo gaga over this brand new author that he had signed. And that was Brendan with Violin Conspiracy. So Brendan, thank you for joining us this morning. And tell us a little bit about where you are. You've been traveling the country, visiting libraries, bookstores, symphony halls. Tell us a little bit about your personal life, where you're from, and yeah, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. First, Don, it's really nice to meet you virtually, in person, virtually, in person, virtually. Thank you guys so much for having me here today. I'm thrilled. My name is Brendan Slocumb. I was born in Yuba City, California, and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Doesn't really sound like it. I've been living in Washington, D.C. for about 20 years now, and the accent has totally left, which is a little sad because I don't know. I like that accent. I started playing the violin when I was 9 years old in a public school music program, and that was actually life-changing for me. I wasn't the greatest student in the world, but I loved music. And when I began to excel, my music teacher told me that if I didn't get my grades up in my other classes, that I would no longer be able to play the violin. So that's all it took. I instantly became smart. I was like, wow, it's not difficult to be smart. You just have to listen and do your homework. No big deal there. I got this. I went on to college and studied music education. I became a teacher. My first job was teaching high school band. I've taught band for 15 years, and I've taught strings and guitar for 25 years. And I'm no longer in the classroom because of everything that's been going on with this book. And I do miss it, but you know, this is fun too. And I get to talk to awesome people like you guys who were kind enough to read the Violin Conspiracy. So ta-da.
And how did that come about? How did you go from a music educator, performer in concert halls and the like, to writing the Violin Conspiracy, which is just quite a remarkable story?
Oh, thanks. It actually, wow, it was the summer of 2020. And we all remember 2020 for various reasons. You know, COVID was just ravaging everything. And as a working musician, it just completely decimated my revenue stream, my career, everything stopped. My recitals, my rehearsals, weddings, lessons, everything, it stopped. And, you know, it was uncertain. The uncertainty was just overwhelming. So I was sitting on my couch eating, getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And I decided to just flip through the internet. And like, no one ever has time to flip through the internet during COVID. So I found an article for selling books in the age of COVID. I was like, well, you know, I'd written a science fiction manuscript like 20 years prior. and it was the greatest book ever written. Of course, it was amazing. It was my first attempt at writing anything, and sure, I'll submit that. You know what? Yeah, here we go. I submitted. I got a response back that said, this book is absolutely terrible, but you've got a good voice and you should try writing what you know. And it's not science fiction. You know what? You're right. Okay. It's still a good story. I'm going to rewrite it one of these days. But I actually wrote the first chapter of the Violin Conspiracy. And it was much, much more YA centered at the time. It was Ray sitting in his high school classroom, and
Oh, wow.
I submitted that chapter, and the agent, who I was really, really, really lucky to get, he said, this is actually good. If you write this, I could probably sell it. I was like, all right, cool. I'm not doing anything else. I'm sitting here, Doritos in my lap. But so I wrote every day. I wrote every day for 2 months, and boom, Violin Conspiracy was done a few months later.
That's amazing, and it's been well received. I think some of you have had a chance to read it. That's awesome. And now, like, what was the inspiration for the story? When I read it, I couldn't help but think, is Ray McMillan Brendan? One wonders, right?
92% of Ray is Brendan. There were a lot of facts and factual scenarios that I took from my own experiences, and only a few of them are made up. Like Ray going to the Tchaikovsky competition, that was made up because I started when I was 9, which is and for playing violin, if you're going to do it at a competitive level, that's like a grandpa. I started way, way, way too late. Had I started when I was 4 or 5, I would be at Ray's level. But since I started at 9, yeah, I'll let Ray go to the Tchaikovsky competition. I'll live vicariously through him. But everything else pretty much was taken from experiences that I've had. The violin theft that happened my senior year in high school. My instrument was stolen, and it was devastating. And the wedding scene that I played at a wedding in college, and the father or the bride, just the hatred that was in his eyes because we were not what he was expecting to come and play at his daughter's wedding, and he shooed us out of the church as quickly as he could. The Baton Rouge scene, when I was driving through Baton Rouge with a friend on a road trip and got stopped and pulled out of the car and on the ground with a gun aimed at me because of an illegal lane change. All of that is taken from my actual experiences. So it was very cathartic to get this stuff out and be validated when I tell people, things like this happen. And the normal response I get is, oh, you're exaggerating. It's not really like that. You misunderstood. I get that a lot. And so it's very, very validating to not only have this down on a page where someone can read it, but to have other people contact me and say, that same thing happened to me. I experienced similar issues, and I'm so glad you put that out there because no one believes me. Like, yeah, dude, I know exactly what you're going through. I've been there.
Wow. Yeah, that wedding scene was quite remarkable. And now you have your sophomore project. I couldn't help but think as I was reading it, it was another story about theft. I mean, in the Violin Conspiracy, you have an actual physical violin stolen, but in Symphony of Secrets, it's a different kind of theft. But was it harder to write? And then what inspired that story? Josie Reed is, anyway, was it harder to write? I'll do one question at a time.
Okay, so I am brand new at this. I am brand new. Like the back of my ears are completely soaking wet. I am so new at this. And I was terrified writing Symphony of Secret. I'm terrified because all of the experienced authors that I have met and I've spoken to, every one of them said the exact same thing about the sophomore book. That second book is the hardest one to do. And, it's the second book. It doesn't do well. People don't, and I was terrified. I didn't want to let anyone down, because Violin Conspiracy was so well received, and I really felt like, oh, okay, I'm doing something and I'm making people happy, and this is great. And oh man, every day was laborious during Symphony, every day, and I was I have to be on. This is okay. I don't tell many people this, so don't tell anybody. I think I can trust you guys. Keep it to yourself. When I finished writing Symphony of Secrets, I was devastated. I put it aside and I did, before I even turned it in to my editor, I put it aside and I didn't look at it, didn't think about it for about 5 months. Nothing. I was so disappointed in myself. I thought I'd let everyone down because this book was not going to be well received. And then, I looked at it maybe 5, 6 months later. I picked it up and I read it, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, did I write this? This is a good story. Whoa, I'm actually digging this. And I just needed to step away from it. And I absolutely love this story now. I love it. It's different from the Violin Conspiracy
Very much so.
in a good way, I think. And I absolutely love it. It was incredibly difficult for me to write, but I love it.
So this is a bit of an aside. I chuckled at one point early in the story. Your publicity manager, Julie Ertl, shows up in the book. And I thought to myself, he's going to be looking at all your squares and taking note of your names and saying, I'll use that as a character in my third novel. Yeah, there we go.
That's my secret. What are you doing? You're telling everybody.
I'm sorry, Brendan. Hey, tell us what inspired the story. So it's a time slip story, like it's in the present. And then there's a parallel story back in the 20s, hence the ragtime music. What Josephine Reed, her doodles and she's a character in this. Tell us about that character. She's fascinating.
Well, I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something exciting, and this is exciting to me. One, because I'm a musician. I don't know if there are any musicians in the audience tonight. Can I get a show of hands of any musicians or artists or anything? Okay, that's enough. All right, cool. I like you guys.
Yeah.
So as a musician, there are so many people just kind of they have this impression. If you're a musician, this is what you do. You write music or you play music and everything is good and everyone knows you because of that, and you hone your craft and it's all. But there's so many people throughout history, not just musicians, but just artists and writers and architects, everything, that just never get any credit for what it is that they've worked so hard to do. And I wanted to do a story that would basically give a voice to the voiceless. And I chose the character of Josephine to be neurodivergent, living with autism, because I've had, as a teacher, I've taught kids with autism, and I've been told they're not going to be able to do this. They can't do this. You're going to have to do. And I'm just like, okay, well, my philosophy has always been, you meet everyone where they are and you take them, on the next step. And I have a nephew who lives with autism. My students who I've taught who live with autism. One of my best friends, her son lives with autism, and my absolute best friend from college, his brother lives with autism. And it's been prevalent in my life, and I wanted representation, and I wanted I felt that it was a good way to just show people that all you need are the correct tools. All anyone needs are the right tools for them, and they can be successful. So I chose that particular aspect of Josephine, and with her just being who she is, she's a conglomeration of a lot of people that I know, and it was a fun character for me to write, and I think she's very, very important. And I don't know how many people caught it, but you'll see Josephine actually makes an appearance in the Violin Conspiracy in the very last chapter. I mentioned Josephine, and I'm going to do that in my subsequent books, like mention a character. And she's just a really, really interesting character, and I'm so happy that she's come across the way that she has.
Yeah, share a little bit about her. I mean, when she hears a door handle or opens a drawer, it's fascinating. She hears it in the context of the scale.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I was going to actually have her have synesthesia, but that was going to be a little bit. I was like, okay, that might be reaching a little bit. But I don't think it's too uncommon for musicians to, I hear a horn blow and I'm like, well, that's a C and an E playing at the same time, or someone knocks on the door. It's like, oh, that was an F sharp. It happens. I'm a dork that way, but a lot of people that's how we live and we see the world. But for Josephine, it's just amplified. Everything is what she wants to hear, the music that she wants to hear. She's on a bucolic setting outside, and they're the breeze is blowing through the grass and it gives you a slight tone, and the birds are singing, and this is the music that she wants to hear. She's playing something on the piano, and instead of it going to this chord, she wants to hear it in this chord, and she's able to just do this amazing thing with basically from nothing. And I chose Bach as an inspiration for that. It was said that J.S. Bach, he never had a wasted note. Every single note that he used was imperative to all of his pieces, and I like to think that Josephine was kind of the same way.
She's amazing. And the story, I don't want to divulge the story, but just give us kind of the seed of the contemporary story.
Oh, you know what? I can do one better because I just got another. I don't know why I keep getting these. I got another arc of Symphony of Secrets. I can totally read the back of it if you guys want. Is that okay? Can I just, all right. Because I have to work on how to pitch this book, my elevator pitch. All right. In present day New York City, Bern Hendricks has received the call of a lifetime to authenticate the long lost musical masterpiece of Frederick Delaney, arguably the greatest, most prolific composer since Beethoven. Byrne thought he knew everything there was to know about the man and his music, but soon discovers the truth behind the masterpieces and behind Frederick Delaney himself is far more complicated than he could have ever imagined. In Jazz Age Manhattan, Josephine Reed meets the struggling musician Freddie Delaney. Josephine is living on the streets, sneaking into jazz clubs and composing music in every genre, from jazz to classical to danceable show tunes. She's a natural, and Freddie convinces her to work with him. With Josephine as his silent partner, Delaney's career takes off. But who is the real genius here? In the present day, Byrne teams up with tech-savvy Ebony Washington, and the two uncover clues that indicate Delaney may have had help composing his most successful works. Armed with more questions than answers and caught in the crosshairs of a powerful organization determined to keep this secret hidden, Byrne and Ebony will move heaven and earth in their dogged quest to uncover Josephine's legacy and right history's wrongs. That is a mouthful. I got to cut that down.
Coming at you this April.
April 18th.
Yeah, there we go. It's honestly, guys, it was such a fun read, and man, very, very exciting. We're going to have some time for questions here coming up for Brendan before he takes off. But I would love, Brendan, you are looking at a group of writers. Oh. Some have had their works published. Some are looking at their books going out in front of editors and publishers in the hopes that they'll get acquired. You entered the book scene at a really volatile time. I mean, we even have AI bots writing novels now. But you found a home with Ed Kastemeyer and the team at Anchor, which is amazing. What words of encouragement do you have for writers, whether it's fiction or nonfiction?
Well, first to Charlie, yes, Yuba City, California. Yes, Yuba City. I think I'm actually I haven't been back there since I was born, which is nuts. I think I'm going back. Anyway, okay, sorry, I digress. I'm sorry. Anchor Books is incredible. Edward is incredible. To everyone who is writing, trying to get their stuff out there, this is the best advice that I've been given. And what I will say, write often, write honestly, because if you don't believe it, how can you expect someone else to believe it? Do not be afraid to take criticism. You take what you can use and you discard the rest. This is for your audience. Remember, you've got to give some of yourself to people that you want to entertain. Everyone wants to be entertained. And last but not least, never, ever, ever, ever give up. Never give up. My stack of rejection letters was this high. I had at least 100. you never give up. You never. I am a basketball fan, college basketball. When I was in college, went to UNC. I watched NC State win the NCAA championship, and Jim Valvano gave a speech in 1994. He said, "Never, ever, ever give up, ever." And that stuck with me for decades. It stuck with me. Never give up. All keep writing, write honestly, write often. Let everyone read everything. This is you're giving it to your audience. Let them know, oh, this is great, this is boring, this is interesting, I'd like to see more of this. Take what you can use it all. Don't be afraid of criticism. That's how we get better.
That's so good. So good. Brendan, Laura Crosby is in an airport someplace, but she has this question. What kind of rhythm or writing discipline / schedule do you have? What is your process like?
That's a good question, Laura. Usually when I'm in the airport like you are, I'm wishing that I was at home writing someplace. No, I really attribute my ability to write regularly to my practice schedule. I used to practice 3.5 hours every day on violin. So when I'm writing, I'm consistent. I write every day at the same time, regardless of how I feel, what I have to do. This is my writing time. And I give myself a goal of 2,500 to 3,000 words a day. And I write straight through. People, I've been writing this one paragraph for 16 years. And what are you doing? You sit down and write it. It might be good, it might be crappy, but you have at least written something. And I make sure I do it every single day, regardless of how I feel, regardless of what else is going on. That comes first. If I sit down and say, this is what I'm going to do, I do it. And that's how that goes every day.
That's so good. Josh, Branham, do you want to unmute and ask your question? And if I'm looking to
Sure.
see. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. Hey, Brendan, thanks for hopping on here and sharing with us. My question is just, was it difficult or natural for you, just in your own person and identity, kind of going known from being a teacher or being a musician to being a writer? I know that's something that, many authors kind of wrestle with, is like, am I really a writer? And so just kind of like, what was that process for you? Or was it pretty easy or natural? And just share about that process.
Dude, it's still going on. People ask me, they say, so are you a writer? And I say, I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet. I am just one of the luckiest people. I truly am. I consider myself a teacher / musician. I've been playing violin since I was 9 years old, and I'm significantly older than 9 now. And if someone said, hey, I'd like for you to come back and teach this high school class, I would probably do it tomorrow. I'm a teacher who just happens to have written a book that people like. I'm just extraordinarily lucky. I'm just really, really, really lucky. But I think I'm beginning to move over more into the author mode. I'm an author who plays violin now. That's what I think. And the more I go around and do this stuff and more I write, the less I get to practice, which is I have to take. I'm looking at my violin over here and I'm like, yeah, I miss you too, buddy. But yeah, I'm a very lucky musician who's written a book.
That's great. That's great. Well, we're benefiting not only from your musicianship, but also from your writing. Anyone have any other question? If Rachel? Unmute.
Yeah, it's not a question, but thank you so much, Brendan, for sharing. I just want to say I love the cover of Symphony of Secrets. It's very beautiful. It's very cool, intriguing. I love the colors. It looks great.
Thank you. It's funny. I hated the cover. I'm glad you like it. I absolutely hated it. From the Violin Conspiracy to Symphony of Secrets, it was so different, and I didn't know what to expect. And I'm thinking there's going to be a woman on the cover with a piece of music, and everything is music centered to me. So I'm glad that the visual appeal is there. I really am. I really, really am. I like it now.
And when they correct me if I'm wrong, in bringing out the paperback of Violin Conspiracy, it mirrors Symphony, does it not?
It is very, very similar in style. Yeah, it's super bright. It's the same shade of yellow. Look at that. We have a Violin Conspiracy hardback cover here, which is, absolutely gorgeous. And now the paperback looks nothing like that, but that's okay because it's very eye-catching.
Yeah. Laura had another question just about getting feedback. Are you part of a writing group or that critiques each other, or are there specific people you go to for feedback on a regular basis?
I have been fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of people who don't mind reading, and I send it out to my friend. I've met so many interesting people, so many writers, so many published authors, so many aspiring authors, and I let everyone read my stuff, and I take every bit of feedback, all of it. I've met some of my best friends through, sitting on panels. We're all debut authors, and I'm sure everybody in here has read The Maid by Nita Prose. Have you guys read that? Yeah. Nita and I were on our very first panel together, and we're like this now. Like, she sent me this book to read. She said, "Hey, can you read this and give me a blurb?" And we do that with each other. And I've gotten some incredible feedback and advice from very seasoned people, from people who have never written anything, but you just get different perspectives, and you take everything that you can. So I've been very fortunate that way, and to have an amazing editor like Edward Kastenmeier. He's unbelievable. Things that never would have crossed my mind. He said, "Well, why don't you think about this?" I'm like, "Oh, he's one of the best."
He is indeed. He's been around, and a young guy too.
Yeah. Younger than me. Yeah.
Any other questions before we let Brendan go? John, did you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Brendan, thanks for all of this. When you talked about, and the question was asked about the tipping point between having a job as a teacher and moving into writing, I feel like I am moving into that place even as we speak. I just know it's going to happen.
Oh.
But what were the things that said yes to you in that transition moment?
Okay, so you broke up, and I missed everything before. What were the things that made you say yes?
Okay, I feel like I'm a pastor of a church, and I've just written my third book, and I'm feeling this is going to be different, and that I'm going to finally make what has been niggling in me for a long time. You got to write, you got to write, you got to write. Make that move in a formal way. So I'm really interested in the transition you made from a teacher, fixed salary, pension, like all of that, and stepping out. Like, what were the things that happened that said yes to you? Maybe practical things, but also just in terms of the internal motivation.
Wow, great question. For me, I truly believe that it was everything was timing. The timing was, you look at the stars aligning. It's like, yeah, this is a perfect time to do a story like this. This is the perfect time to go full force into this. And truly, the thing that did it for me was after I'd written The Violin Conspiracy, the moment that I'm writing this, and I would go back and read chapter to chapter, I said to myself, I am enjoying this story. This is actually good. I knew that there was something there. I didn't know how other people would receive it, but I knew that I absolutely loved it. And I knew that it was something that I put all of my, my entire heart into it. And I knew it. And that's really what did it for me. I was like, okay, you know what? If I feel this strongly about this, then there's got to be someone else out there who feels the same way. So I'm going to go for it, put all the eggs in the basket, because I think this is the time. So it was a matter of opportunity and just following my gut. And I love the story. I'm not going to say it's a good story, but I can just say that I loved it. And if you feel that way about what it is that you're, hey, follow your guts, follow it. They won't steer you wrong.
You mentioned you have a stack of 100 or more reject letters, Brendan. What keeps you going? What keeps you going? Because I know I'm looking at a number of folks here that I've had the distinct honor of sending them rejection emails and said, "Hey, another editor responded this way." How do you keep going when you have that sort of yellow pages format of stack of rejects?
I just follow my own advice. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. Never give up, because you never know that the day you quit, the very next day, there could be someone to say, okay, yes, this is going to happen for you. Never give. I have been through so much in my life, and when I write my memoir, you guys are going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy is actually sitting here talking to us after everything that he's been through. You're not going to believe it. Seriously. I have thank you tattooed on my forearm because I am so grateful for just all the help that I've gotten, all the mentorship that I've gotten, all of the, the pushing that I've gotten from people who encourage me to never, ever, ever stop. And it is truly, take every bit of advice, take all of it. Don't get mad. Use it as fuel. Use those rejections as fuel. Okay, this didn't work for me, so I'm going to try something different this time. The key is I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep going. Never ever give up. My next tattoo is going to be never, ever, 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 ever give up. Never. That's what it is. And that's what happened for me. Never give up. So many times I wanted to quit. So many times I said, this is never going to work for me. I'm done. This is how I never, never, ever, ever give up. Do not give up.
So inspiring. I almost could hear Winston Churchill coming through you. You were channeling him, I'm sure.
I'm channeling his beard.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Before we say goodbye to him, any other questions for Brendan? If you do, you can unmute yourself. I'm trying to see. Yeah, Jesse, unmute. Go ahead.
I have one. Thank you so much for all of this. I love just you just bring so much life to this whole conversation, and it's really inspiring. So thank you for that. And also, I'm just curious what it's been like for you with the marketing side of things, because I know that you're somewhat new to all of this, and I know that it can go a million different directions, so I'm just curious what your experience has been and how you've gone about connecting with the people who you knew needed to read your book.
Great question. Marketing side of it has been wow, it's been an experience. I went into all of this totally brand new. I have been, like I mentioned previously, I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet. I had a fantastic marketing team, and it truly was a team. What can we do? What do we need to do? What do you need from us? What can we do for you? This is what you can do. I've had my hand held, and as a teacher, I'm always learning. This is what I need to do. Okay, you show me this one time. Now I'm going to go and do that, and I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to do this. And on top of that, people have just been incredibly, incredibly supportive. It is a whirlwind. I tell you, it is overwhelming. A lot of times it's overwhelming. Like, my calendar is ridiculous. I am exhausted a lot of times because I want to make sure that when someone says, hey, can you come and do this? Can you come? I want to say yes, because I'm so grateful for people supporting me this way. So the best way for me to show my appreciation is to, just show up and say thank you. So I'm constantly on the go. The lessons that I teach have been suffering. I'm like, okay, I won't see you for 2 weeks because I'm out of town, but I expect you to practice. And, they usually do practice. But I'm always on the go. I'm always looking for opportunities. Anything that I can say yes to, I absolutely do. I have only turned down one invitation to do something because it was a scheduling conflict. That's the only reason I've turned anything down. But the marketing aspect is, I've got a great team who they're constantly pushing and pushing and pushing because, they took a chance on me, and they believe in me, and they believe in the product. And it's just, anything, hey, they believe in me, I'm going to give you 150% every time.
And Kathy is asking the question, did your publisher provide the marketing team? You were part of the launch of a brand new fiction imprint at Penguin Random House named Anchor Books, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. My marketing team was through my publisher, and my literary agent is voracious. He is just a bulldog, and he informed me, you're going to have to do social media for at least an hour a day. That's part of your job now. And, I started with, you can follow me on Instagram, by the way. See how I got that plug in. It's like he said to me, you're going to have to do at least an hour a day of social media because, that's the world that we live in now. And I started with like 100 Instagram followers and I'm up to like 6,000 now. It's insane. It's bananas. Social media is extremely important. So I do a lot of that aspect while the publisher does a lot of the, we're going to send you here to promote. We'll send you here to promote. They would like for you to come here. They do a lot of that on that end, the travel end. The social media aspect I do a lot of on my own. My agent is he's very savvy. He knows that people do a lot through social media nowadays, and it's a new time, and this is what we have to do. So yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'll follow you back. It's the real thing. It's a separate job.
And what did you come when you came to Ed and his team at Anchor? What was your platform other than you were an educator? Were you doing dance routines on TikTok or?
I hadn't even heard of TikTok when I met Edward. Nothing. What is a TikTok? What is always a clock thing going on? I don't know. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I was just a teacher who was unemployed because of the pandemic, who had happened to have plenty of time to sit down and write. And, they liked the story. And I knew in response to John earlier, I knew that there was something about this story. I liked it. And if I liked it, being a musician, I'm my own worst critic. I don't think I've ever done a stellar performance, maybe once in my life. So I'm a harsh critic. Thank you, John. I'm a very harsh critic. So if I liked it, I knew that there was a possibility that someone else liked it. I believed in the story. I truly did believe in it. And, again, Edward being as amazing as he is, the suggestions that he had, for take this in this direction, maybe think about this. It was just totally insightful and never would have crossed my mind. It's a combination of timing, a fantastic team, being extraordinarily lucky, and never ever giving up, ever.
Yeah, I often compare it to being a Jewish grandmother pairing the author with the right editor, because all you need is that one editor, right?
Very true.
But it is that magic that happens. Doesn't happen to everybody, but when it does, it's like, oh, this is so good. I'm looking at Andy Ashworth that has experienced that with her Lisa Joe editor. It's like a marriage made in heaven, So,
ooh. Andy, I like your library back there.
And she and Charlie are from your area of California. Are you not, Andy? Where
we are. We were born and raised in Yuba City, California.
Right.
Both of us. It's amazing. We never hear of anybody else from there.
You're the first person I've ever heard that was born. It's good to meet you too. Wow, look at that. Who knew?
I know.
That's so funny. Okay, we're going to let him. We have to wrap up. I try to honor the 45 minutes that we have together once a month. It is always great to see you. We probably have room for one more question. So if you have that one more question, just unmute. Dave Moja, are you about to ask a question, or are you just pondering the future of life?
Don, I just want to tell Brendan just out loud, I know everybody agrees with this. Thanks, man. Oh. Wonderful stuff, and looking forward to the new book. And man, blessings on you, brother.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Wow. Okay. I'm blushing. You can't tell, but I'm blushing. I really am. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And I want all of you aspiring writers, to all of you published, right? Best of luck. I'm going to look for your stuff. Email me, Instagram me, let me know what you're doing. I want to, whatever I can do to, help you to become successful, to help, let me know. I'm here. Hey, it's all about helping each other, right? That's what it is. Okay, cool.
Brendan, thank you so much. You're an inspiration. Symphony of Secrets comes out in April. That's next month. Whatever money you get in your little Easter basket, you can put towards the purchase of this book. It is up. I have the yellow edition, so it was a fun read. The characters are amazing. Some of them are nasty. Just saying, but it's a great story. next month. So thank you, Brendan.
Thank you, Don.
Us today, and we'll look forward to seeing your continued success with your writing.
Thank you, guys. Hope to see you all again.
Yes, you bet.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
And for the rest of you, next month it's April 20th, and so just a reminder, it's the third Thursday of the month at 10 a.m. Mountain, 12 noon Eastern. And our guest next month is really fun. It's Alexis DeWeese. She's the senior marketing manager at Zondervan Reflections, which is part of the HarperCollins family. And she has done a study of social media, and a fascinating one at that. And she's going to share a little bit about that with us. And I'm just really thrilled that she will be with us. And I hope you'll come prepared to ask her questions and listen to her. She's got a really interesting, I'm going to say, an interesting thesis on social media and how authors can adapt or use it. So I hope you can join us. I am so grateful for all your faces every month on here. And it's an honor. I say this to you every time. It sounds like a broken record, but it is really an honor to work with you and represent you. And patience is a virtue. I remind you of that. But I'll also take a page from Brendan, and that is never give up. I know some of us think, man, this book has been pitched. Are we going to pitch this until Jesus comes? Yeah, possibly. But it does take patience, but there is that editor out there. So it was just good to hear from him. Never give up. I'm looking at Melissa Johnson. It took 7 freaking years to get that book of yours published. And it's still gonna, it's gonna happen this June, but I just look at Melissa and think there's a story of, 6 years waiting patiently for this to happen. I'm not recommending that, by the way, but it does happen. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining today, and I hope to see you next month in April. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.